to do when
I'll do it all.
You'll do it all?
Yep, I'll do at followers on here, and then I'll tag you.
And do I have to?
Or do you have to approve it?
Okay.
Do you know where the...
Do I have to prove it from Facebook? From a notification?
I just tagged you in 2 other things as well. So you go to your page. And then it should go down, right? How does she accept the activity? Activity log, review, post, and tag. There we go. If you want, I'll go ahead and just doing it for you there. And it'll also show up there when I tag you.
Okay. And then I'll just add it? Okay, great.
So you see, go to
Just tell me what I need to do, that's right. Okay. Extraordinary people.
Good morning. My name is Mark Hunt, and this is A Life Unedited. In this podcast, I sit down with extraordinary people to hear about their lives, perspectives, without the filters of hindsight. Today, I am very honored to have Sherry Owen. Sherry is a senior development manager for the Alzheimer's Association. Sherry has spent a large part of her life dedicated to helping others. Thank you so much, Sherry, for being here.
Thank you for having me. This is fun.
Looking back, when did service first become important to you?
Oh my goodness. I grew up in a very service-oriented household. My father was involved in everything, and my mother was involved in everything, and so my brother and I ended up being involved in everything, and it was important. We were involved in church, we were involved in community, and that was something that was instilled with us at a very early age.
That's amazing. Who were you as a kid? Were you the helper, the leader, the peacemaker, the rule follower, or did you run your own game?
Did I throw up my own game? Let's see. I was the helper.
Yeah.
I always see myself as the helper. But I also was a leader. I was very involved throughout school. I ran for all the elections, and
Nice.
I just see myself as a leader,
Well,
and
that
I've always been that way.
That definitely tracks.
Sure,
For sure.
but I also probably was the peacemaker too, because
Yeah.
I always wanted to make sure things were good.
How many siblings do you have?
I just have a brother.
Just a brother?
Yeah.
Were you younger or older?
Younger.
Younger. Nice.
Yeah, younger. So yeah, I was the big sister.
Yeah. That's awesome. You grew up in Albemarle County. What was Albemarle County like back then?
Very, very rural.
Really?
It was funny. Where I grew up is where I'm living right now.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
My childhood home that my dad built in 1956 on 10 acres of land
Wow.
out in the county. And so if you think about the city right now, we were far away from everything. So Barracks Road was going into town
Oh, wow.
for us. We lived, the road is named now, but it wasn't named then. It was a route. It was Route 4, Box 143, if I remember our mailbox number. And so it was strange. It was kind of frustrating in a way because we grew up without kids around us.
Yeah.
So we had to, find our own things to do. We had a creek. And so we played in the creek a lot, and we hiked in the woods a lot, and we weren't involved a lot in after-school activities growing up young because it was too far to go.
Yeah.
So it is interesting. So I've seen it change. It was a gravel road, dirt road, and we saw it get paved right up to our driveway, and we change things. It was a lot of change.
Yeah. I'm sure, especially now.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, it's crazy to think of all the change. The open land to now nothing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're very fortunate to have the 10 acres around us right now,
Absolutely.
which
Yeah.
is really very cool, and we're blessed.
Yeah, that's definitely special for Albemarle County.
Yes.
As a teenager, if I could spend a day with the teenage Sherry, what would surprise me the most?
Oh my goodness. As a teenager, how involved we were. My dad was in politics when I was growing up. And so, again, involved in everything, involved in church and singing and running around to just everything that we could get involved with as a teenager.
That's awesome.
It was the best and the worst years of my life, quite honestly.
Yeah. Why the worst?
So I was very social and had a lot of friends, and teenagers do crazy things. And so I was 16 years old and I got pregnant.
Okay.
And boy, that was tough. That was probably one of the hardest things I ever went through, because I really hurt my mom and dad. My mom and dad were my pillars of strength, and I hurt them so much. But once we got through all of that and realized that we needed to do something, then it became probably one of the best parts of my life, because my mom and dad decided that in order for me to be a 16-year-old and to still function like a 16-year-old, that I needed to go someplace where I could focus and have the care I needed, and they didn't think I would get that staying at home. So they looked, and we found a place in Richmond. It was the neatest place. It was a home for unwed mothers, 14 of us.
Wow.
And 4 nuns ran it.
Wow.
So I finished that semester of high school, and then in January of oh my goodness, I can't believe you're making me think about this. January of 1981. No, let me think about that for a second. Well, I went and lived in that home.
Wow.
And
What was that experience like?
it was, say that again?
What was that experience like?
Oh my goodness. At first it was terrifying because
Sure.
I was away from home
Yeah.
and I was living with 13 other women, young women,
Complete strangers, yeah.
strangers, and 4 nuns. But I quickly acclimated and, here I am becoming the leader and the helper. So
Right.
we all had responsibilities and things that we needed to do while we lived there. And so we were all tutored by professors at VCU.
Oh, wow.
So I graduated my 11th grade with top of my class because I was able to finish 11th grade, which is what my parents wanted me to do. And I had the health care that I needed. But we had this wonderful woman who was our cook in the kitchen. She was this tiny little African-American woman, Baptist, loved it. So she would sit in the kitchen and she would sing and she would cook and everything was homemade. And so I got kitchen duty. And so she would be singing hymns. And so I would sing with her because I grew up in a Baptist church.
Yeah.
And so I was harmonizing everything. Well, the nuns heard me, and the next thing I know, I'm song leader for Mass every week. So the priest would come in, and I'm now song leader. Here
That's
I am,
awesome.
16, 17, and pregnant, and I'm the song leader for Mass for 6 months. I had a beautiful baby girl, and I was adopted when I was 3 weeks old. So I knew how much joy I brought my parents. So one of the hardest things I ever had to do was the weekend that she was born. Mom and Dad came up. I had visitors every single week from church, all of my high school friends. Everybody came and supported me. It was amazing. I could name, you would run out of paper for me naming everybody that came and supported me.
Wow.
It was amazing.
Wow.
But I signed the papers and gave her up for adoption. Unbeknownst to me, 12 years ago, she found me.
Wow.
And so she and I have an amazing relationship. I have a 12-year-old granddaughter who's just the light of my life. And Lauren is a joy, and we've become best friends.
It's incredible.
So we see her all the time. As a matter of fact, I just kept my granddaughter last weekend. We're going to the beach together. It's just a really neat relationship.
Ah, that's incredible.
So, yes. So high school, best years, worst years, back to best years.
Yeah.
Because then I went back to high school for my senior year. Senior year was different. I was different. I had had a child.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so the senior year activities that everybody does, I just didn't do because it was different. It just wasn't
seemed
something
trivial, I'm sure.
Yeah, it really did.
Yeah.
So I focused on everything that I needed to do in order to go to college.
Wow.
And so I graduated, and then I went to Radford University, and I was there for my undergraduate degree and my master's degree.
Wow. So that's incredible. That's really incredible. At Radford, you majored in, or you got your master's degree, in music therapy. Mm-hmm. That is not a normal career path.
No.
Or a normal degree for most people. What drew you towards that?
So helping people,
Yeah.
I grew up as a helper. And music was always a big part of my life, and I
Yeah.
sang everywhere, and sang in church, and every group I could get in, and every audition group I could get in, and honors choir, and this and that, everything. So music was important to me. So I knew I didn't want to be a performance major.
Yeah.
So I was music therapy major, and I minored in voice performance.
Wow.
So
What is music therapy for somebody that might not know what music therapy is?
So you know what? Everybody loves music at some point, and you don't have to. It doesn't matter who you are and where you grew up and what country you live in, but music is a part of everybody. Mm-hmm. And so, I did my master's thesis on the effects of. Okay, you ready for this? The effects of psychoneuroimmunology on children with leukemia using art, music, and play therapy. And we actually were able to have a study group, and I was able to get in with a group at the hospital down in Radford, to know that music lowers your stress, and music helps autoimmune diseases, and music has been shown to shrink tumors. And so that's what music therapy is. Here's the issue. The issue is when I graduated in 1990 with my music therapy degree, insurance didn't recognize what music therapy was.
Right. So,
you could be an activities director and hope that they would let you bring your music in at some point, but it just wasn't, it just wasn't something that people understood at that point in time. Now, today, jump forward to 2026, even to 2020, because I had friends who are music therapists, and even before that, there are music therapists in so many facilities.
Right.
And they are not the activities director. They are the music therapist that comes in and works with a group. So I did my internship at a private psych hospital, and my group were, I had an older senior group that most of them had dementia. So that's where I worked for 6 months, and when I did my internship. So I've always had a love for working with seniors.
Yeah. Wow, that's incredible. What do you think people underestimate about music?
Oh, the power it has. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I know that it does. I know that, my mother, after my father died and we realized that my mother couldn't stay in the house, which my childhood home, by herself. My kids are pretty amazing. They realized, along with my husband, that Nanny couldn't stay in the house by herself.
Yeah.
She couldn't. She had their little life necklace, that she could push, and it pushed a lot. But she would fall or get out of bed at night and eat Rome, blah, blah. And so we made the decision that we were going to get rid of our house in the city and move in with Nanny so she could stay there. So we wouldn't have to put her someplace. Yeah. So we made the decision at Labor Day, and we were in by Thanksgiving, a complete renovation of the house to make it handicapped accessible, add a bedroom, add a bath, elongate this, make it so 3 boys and my husband and I could move in with my mom.
Yeah.
And my mom had Parkinson's dementia. And she may not remember people's names, or she may not have remembered what she had for breakfast, but she could remember the words to all of those hymns that she sang growing up. And we would sit in the living room and play the piano and sing hymns. And it was she just loved it. She just thought that was great. She would know all of those words. So I think people, back to your question, that people don't realize the power music has.
Yeah, that's so powerful. Well, fast forward a little bit. You helped co-found a women's self-defense program.
Boy,
I'm so curious. How did that come about?
Oh boy, that's probably one of the most exciting things I've done. So when I graduated with my music therapy degree, all during school, I was in residential life too. I was an RA, and then I was an RD, a resident director, and so I ran a building. And when I was at Old Dominion University, as a resident director, during the weekends, you're on call. And so I was on call so many weekends where I would be called by campus police to assaults on women. Just so many back then. It was incredible how many. And so I met a campus police officer who was just as frustrated as I was, and he had this idea about teaching women to defend themselves. so that they would not be a victim.
Yes.
But he'll be very honest if he would tell you this right now. He said, I knew what I wanted, but I didn't have the smarts to put it all together. And so we just kept meeting each other at midnight, 2 o'clock in the morning, and were commiserating, about the situation. And so he came to me and he goes, I have an idea. I want you to help me put it on paper. So I said, okay. So we sat down and we created this. He had the logo, he had what he wanted it called, and he would talk and I would write. And I would put it all together. And so we did this notebook or this manual, self-defense manual. It's called RAD Systems, Rape Aggression Defense Systems. And so we pitched it to ODU, and they were interested. And so then I was very friendly and knew the chief of police here in Charlottesville and at UVA police at the time. So we got it into him. He was very interested. He sent it to some friends. We had a class, and our first class was at the FOP Lodge on the mountain. And so we had 12 people. We had people from JMU, we had people from UVA, ODU. We had a couple of people that came from Maryland that had heard about it through the grapevine. So we had a class, and it was a great class, and people loved it. And it was teaching these police officers how to go back and teach the women in their community how to defend themselves and not be a victim.
Wow.
Okay? So we had thought that, golly, let's do this. In 5 years, we would love to be saturated in the state of Virginia. And in 5 years, we were in 30 states.
Wow, that's incredible.
So what I realized was I was taking off all this time traveling, teaching these instructor classes, these 3-day instructor classes to all of these people, and I couldn't keep doing this and run the business because I helped run the business.
Right.
And then we had a law enforcement equipment company that wanted to make equipment for us and get equipment. So, then all of a sudden we have to order all the equipment and send it all out, and we have to print all the manuals and send them all out, and people want this and want that, and we have to certify more instructors, and before we know it, oh my goodness. So I quit my job.
Yeah.
I was at ODU in residence life, and then I went to William & Mary in residence life, and then I ended up leaving so I could do this full time. And I did this for about 10 years full time. I traveled all over the country, training police departments all over the country. It's the largest women's self-defense organization right now in the country.
That's incredible, Sherry. Wow.
Tens of thousands of women have gone through. It's a lifetime you can go through. Once you go through it once, you have a lifetime policy to go back and forth. So it was pretty spectacular. It's pretty awesome.
To say the least. Wow, that's incredible. You spent 16 years as Charlottesville's Director of Elections.
Yes, so enter my husband. So, oh my goodness, my husband and I dated when I was in my master's degree. I met him here. I came home for the summer between my undergraduate and my master's. Boy, we're just laying it all out, aren't we? He's probably listening right now going, oh, she's not, is she? And we dated for 2 years during my master's degree. So 2 weeks, can't believe he's probably shaking his head right now. 2 weeks before I graduated, he asked me to marry him.
Naturally, yeah.
And I said no. Yes, I'm scrunching my face. I said no. But I had just gotten the job at ODU, and I wanted to go to Norfolk, and I wanted to go to ODU, and I wanted to not be married. So I said no, went off and did my thing, went off and went to ODU, then I went to William & Mary, and then I did RAD full time. He ended up getting married and had 2 beautiful boys. And he and his wife split, and this is it gets funny right here. My mother and her nosy rosy best friends who are my godmothers, always loved Pat, loved him, my husband, and kept up with everything he was doing. And when he and his wife split, they were quick to call me to tell
I'm sure
me.
they were excited.
And I was sad that
Yeah.
I was sad. That's not, you
Yeah.
know, that's not something that you is joyful.
Yeah.
It was sad. And it just so happened that weekend, I was coming home for that weekend, and we saw each other, and we've been together ever since.
The rest is history.
Yeah. So that was in 1997.
27
And
years
then
later.
We got married in 1999.
Wow.
So 27 years.
Congratulations.
Last month.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it is incredible. He's my soulmate. He is my rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, he is I'll get teary-eyed thinking about it, but he's always been there for me, and he is amazing. My boys, his boys, our boys are amazing. We have a son, so our youngest is 25, and then we have Adam and Reed, which are our sons. And his wife and I, his ex-wife and I are friends.
That's
and
so
we
important, yeah.
we would do birthdays together, holidays together.
Nice.
So the kids, we would go to back to school nights, and the kids would say, "Hi, this is my mom and my stepdad, and this is my dad and my stepmom." I have 4 parents. You know, what kid? 4 parents and a set of grandparents that love them.
Yeah. Nothing.
And
yeah.
it's so interesting. Our kids never knew the word step. They were brothers and sisters.
Mm-hmm.
So much so that when Lauren came into their life, that's their sister. And when Will was born, so Adam and Reed were, let's see, probably 6 and 8 when Will was maybe 8 and 10. But I think 8 and 10 when Will was born. And they just loved him. They love him now. He's 25, but he's a pain in their butt, but regardless. But Adam and Reed would go week to week. They'd go a week with us and a week with their mom. And one day they were getting ready to go back to their mom's. They had their suitcase and everything was ready. And the next thing we know, Will comes out pulling the suitcase because he thought he was going too.
Oh.
There was baby, just one big happy family. So it was fun. The kids had fun growing up.
That's awesome. So healthy too. So how did you end up as the director of
So back
Charlottesville
to the
Elections?
question. So my husband brought me back home to Charlottesville. And we got married. I needed a job. And I looked at a bunch of things. And my dad was in politics. So elections was always something that was very interesting to me. Nothing to do with music therapy at all, or self-defense, or nonprofit, or anything. So I applied and was appointed. The registrars are appointed by a 3-person board. So I was appointed as registrar in 1999.
Wow.
And I had 4 appointments through 16 years. And talk about being satisfying. That was super satisfying.
I would imagine.
Frustrating on election days when you have lawyers sitting at your desk and listening to everything you say, making sure that when you tell somebody they're not eligible to vote, that you better be sure they're not eligible to vote. 24.2 is election law, and boy, I back then had most of it memorized where you needed to on things like that. But that was very fulfilling for me.
And you went on to write some legislation.
Yeah, I did. I feel very strongly in everybody having the right to vote. And when you live in Charlottesville and you have the university right around you, and you live in Virginia where you have so many universities, public and private, that students have the right to vote. And it was very contentious because people who were against that wanted students to have to vote where they lived, where their parents lived.
Yeah.
Sure, where their parents lived. And we ascertained that The students needed to be able to, they lived 9 months of the year where they put their head down in their residence hall, that they needed to be able to vote there if they wanted to. If they wanted to vote absentee or go back home and vote, absolutely, that was their choice. But they had the right to vote where they wanted to
Right.
choose. Can't vote in both places.
Right.
Got to choose one, but you have to be able to be able to choose one. So I was asked to go and testify before a congressional subcommittee
Wow.
on ensuring the rights of college students to vote. And boy, that was very satisfying. It was what an honor that was.
Was it
and a
intimidating?
privilege.
Was it intimidating at all?
It was a little intimidating, but it was fun. My husband went with me, and he said, "I'm going to sit behind you, and every now and then I'm just going to lean forward and whisper in your ear like I'm your legal counsel." And he did.
He did? He followed through? That's awesome.
He did. But I gave my testimony, and I thought that was it. And then they asked questions, which was intimidating because you don't know what they're going to ask. It was what a privilege to be able to do that, and for it to be in the Library of Congress, and it actually is my testimony is in a bound book in the Library of Congress. It's very cool.
That's very cool.
But we were able to write some bills. I was very lucky. At the time, Delegate Toscano, Delegate Bell, very active. And, one Democrat, one Republican. When you write a bill, you want to make sure you have the companion. Right. You want to make sure you've got dual partisanship when you write that bill. And so we were very fortunate to be able to write some bills in Charlottesville. I rewrote the bill that got our school board directly elected instead of appointed. That was exciting. And we wrote the early voting bill, which I'm very proud of because I strongly believe in early voting.
Yeah.
So,
It's very important.
It's very cool.
That's so cool. That's incredible. Well,
you running out of questions?
No, I've got so many more. I'm just like, what? When you moved in with your mom, do you feel like that kind of ignited the passion that you have now?
Yes. Not an easy time as a caregiver, and golly, I talk to caregivers all the time. I wish I knew, and I say this all the time. I wish I knew then what I know now about all of the resources that the Alzheimer's Association provides. It's amazing. We were able to utilize some through doctors, but trying to do all of this on your own is really, really tough. And I'm so fortunate to have had my family, which was super supportive and wanted to be there for Nanny and wanted to wake up and say hello to her in the morning and say goodnight to her at night.
Yeah.
And her doctor strongly believes that we elongated her life.
Oh, absolutely.
By doing this. And she lived another couple of years, and we were able to.
And enjoyed them.
And enjoyed them.
Yeah.
Enjoyed them and laughed, cried. It wasn't easy all the time, but I would never change it in a million years. I would never change that. And I'm fortunate that I was there with her when she took her last breath, and I wouldn't change that either.
Yeah.
And so the Alzheimer's Association, it was a great fit for me. I love nonprofit work. I was the outreach director at SARA, the Sexual Assault Resource Agency, for almost 8 years. Wow. And loved that and loved working with that team and working with survivors. That was so important. And my job was working directly with survivors and training the volunteers and the hotline volunteers and managing the hotline. And I was a liaison with our SANE nurse, our ER nurse. So I spent a lot of time in the emergency room with survivors.
Wow.
And I told my husband this. I said, the minute I walk out of the emergency room after being there all night with the survivor and I don't feel anything, that's it for me. It's time to look somewhere else because trauma's tough. And so when you start not feeling it at all and
Disconnecting.
keeping it
Yeah.
inside, then that's not healthy.
Yeah.
And I knew that wasn't going to be healthy. So that's when I realized I needed to move on. And Alzheimer's Association, it was like fell in my lap. And the experience I had with my mom was, I think, really pushed me in that direction.
Yeah.
And so I've been there about 3 years, and it's been wonderful. And it's been great. My team is amazing, and the people that I get to work with, all of the facilities I get to work with, the caregivers that I get to talk with, the people I get to sit and listen to.
Yeah.
And that's the key. Sit and listen to.
Yeah.
It has enriched my life.
Oh, absolutely. Do you feel like we've made a bigger footprint in the last 3 years?
Oh,
then?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I am the senior development manager, but primarily I oversee the walk in Charlottesville and the walk in Greater Augusta, and both in the last couple of years have grown exponentially.
Last year doubled, didn't it? Almost.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. I mean, we're going to break it. We were at 983 people last year. We are going to break 1,000 this year. I
Absolutely.
know we
Yeah.
are. New sponsors, new people, new businesses.
Yeah.
Just able to go out and talk to people about what the association, what it is, and the focus has changed a little bit, because in the last couple of years, our focus really has been on the resources that we have available, but also on caregiver support and education.
Yeah.
But in the last couple of years, we were able to participate in a study, the Pointer Study, which actually had a group of individuals go through this particular research study and show that healthy lifestyle lowers your brain age.
Yeah.
Okay? So, healthy lifestyle, when you're talking about eating correctly and exercising and getting enough sleep and keeping your brain sharp, making sure that you're doing crossword puzzles and stuff like that, just keeping your mind going. Things that you're supposed to do every single day that you're supposed to do actually helps.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So now we are in this prevention stage. We're actually going into businesses and talking about brain health at work and healthy, what you can do. And so if you take this survey, we've got a couple of businesses, well, more than a bunch of businesses doing it right now, where you take the survey and it actually will tell you where you are and what you need to work on for your company. So
That's really exciting.
it is exciting. This is an exciting time in the association. So there may be 600 walks across the country, and we may be really gearing up and excited about all of this, but we are also excited about going in and talking to businesses about this and getting them to help without even realizing that they're healthy.
It's really a grassroots movement, honestly.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And this is the time to get in it. So
Yeah.
as I said, this is an exciting time. And then who knows? Every time we turn around, there's a something that has helped and a new drug
A new
or
clinical trial,
new
yeah.
trials.
Yeah.
And I tell everybody when I go and talk to groups, I say, I'm 62. Okay, I can't believe I said that. But yes, I'm 62 and
We look
proud
great
of
for
it.
60.
Thank you. You're sweet. I strongly believe in my lifetime we will find a cure.
I agree.
And if you've ever been to a walk and you see the flowers, I wear the purple flower in memory of my mother. And you'll see most people holding purple flowers.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see people who support the cause carrying their orange flower, and people who are caregivers carrying the yellow flower, and people who actually have the disease, which is very emotional, carrying the blue flower.
Yeah.
We have one person carry that white flower, and I strongly believe that we are going to see lots of white flowers in the coming years, that we will find that cure.
That gave me goosebumps.
I get goosebumps just thinking about it, yes.
I completely agree with you. Well, I just have a couple closing questions for you.
Okay.
So, your life, your career, with the elections and caregiving, music therapy, self-defense training, and now Alzheimer's advocacy, On the surface, those seem like very different chapters. When you look at them, what thread connects them all?
All of them have the helper bee. You know, elections, you help people register to vote, and you teach them that. And caregiving, you're helping. And music therapy is a helping profession. And self-defense training, you're helping people, women, learn how to defend themselves. And Alzheimer's advocacy, you're helping people learn how to be better with themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if you have to look at all of that, I guess it's the helper bee, which I strongly believe I am, and I was put on this earth to be.
You are, 100%. And my final question that I ask everybody, what do you hope your children, family, and friends would say is the legacy you left behind?
Golly, I'm going to get emotional. You can do anything you put your mind to. You know, my dad always told me that. He would always say, little girl, you can do anything you put your mind to. Don't be bullied, and don't let them tell you you can't. If you want to do it, you do it. And I think I've overcome a lot of obstacles in my life. And I think that my friends and my family have stood behind me for that. And I think the legacy that I leave behind is that you can do anything you put your mind to, and don't let the obstacles stop you.
Thank you so much, Sherry. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
My name is Mark Hunt. This is A Life Unedited, a podcast where I get to sit down with incredible people like Sherry Owen. Thank you.